Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD bodybuilder, back with another video. Today I'm going to be giving you a full science-based hypertrophy program that is upper body focused and based on my 4-day hybrid split. I've been getting a lot of requests to cover programs that are more specific body part focused. So today we're going to be covering an upper body focused program. This program might be useful for you if upper body is your focus or if you're training for a sport that already uses your legs heavily. We'll be using an adaptation of my hybrid 4-day split, and this combines the push-pull split and the Arnold split into 2 main days. On the first day you train quads, chest, and back, and on the second day you train your glutes and hamstrings, shoulders, biceps, and triceps. We'll see here that we incorporate the push-pull split in the fact that you train your quads or your pushing muscles for your legs on day 1, and then on day 2 you train your glutes and hamstrings, which are typically associated with more pull type movements. When it comes to the upper body though, we use a more Arnold type setup. So we divide our upper body into chest and back, and then shoulders and arms. And you'll see how this brings us some unique benefits. Quick outline for today, I'm going to be sharing with you a full science-based hypertrophy program set for 4 days per week that is upper body focused and moderate volumes. We'll start off with a program walkthrough where I share with you everything you need to know to run the program for yourself, including exercises, sets, and reps. Then we'll talk about the weekly setup, or how to spread out the workouts across the week. And finally, we'll go over the pros and cons of my hybrid 4-day split. To see more free science-based hypertrophy programs, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let's get into it. Alright, let's do our program walkthrough. So this is Dr. Swole's upper body focused 4-day hybrid split program. It's based on the Dr. Swole Hybrid Push-Pull Arnold Split, and it's set with moderate volumes, at least for the upper body. This is designed for a late beginner to intermediate athlete with a focus on upper body. Here's day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. There are the exercises, and here are the sets and reps. Down here we have the total number of sets per workout, so you have an ideal workout length. And here we have our weekly muscle group set volumes. You'll immediately see that this is upper body focused, and our lower body volumes are quite low. Starting off with day 1, we have squat for the quads, and we have 4 sets using a top set back off method. So this is the notation I use. We start off with 1 top set of 5 to 8 reps, followed by 3 back off sets of 5 to 8 reps, where you drop the weight by around 10%. Now for our leg training here, since we're using low volumes, I want you to really push hard, and the last set of the day is going to be an AMRAP, so as many reps as possible. This will make sure you really get the most out of your leg training. Next, we have barbell bench press for the chest, and again we're using the top set back off method. 3 sets, starting off with the top set of 5 to 8, followed by 2 back off sets. After that, we have the Meadows row for the back. 4 sets of 8 to 12. This is basically a bent over 1 arm landmine row. You can look it up, but it's a very cool free weight back movement. After that, we have the dumbbell fly for the chest, 3 sets of 10 to 15. And then we have cable rows for the back, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Following that, we have lat pull downs for the back, 3 sets of 10 to 15. And lastly, we have barbell upright rows, which I count for side delts, but we'll slip them in here for some extra side delt training, 4 sets of 8 to 12. Since they hit the traps, you could kind of count them in for back as well. Next, we have day 2, and we start off with deadlift for the glutes and hamstrings, 3 sets. And we're using a top set back off method again here. 1 top set of 5 to 8, followed by 2 back off sets of 5 to 8. And your last set is going to be an AMRAP. One of the things I like about the split is that you get to spread out your squats and deadlifts and really give some priority to your deadlift. Since your quad and glute and hamstring training are separated, you won't have to worry about focusing on deadlifts and squats in the same day. Then we have barbell overhead press, 3 sets of 5 to 8. One of the biggest criticisms of the classic Arnold split is that your shoulder and chest training come back to back. So this means that your big overhead press and barbell bench press will come back to back. But this is assuming you're using the classic Arnold split spread over 6 days a week. And for those of you who don't know, the Arnold split is chest, back, shoulders and arms, and then legs. Since this split is set up for 4 days per week, we have a rest day in between our day 1, day 2, and day 3, which means your overhead press is going to be nicely separated from your flat benching. Big advantage for this split. Next, we have hammer curls for the biceps, 3 sets of 6 to 10, and you can superset these with your close grip bench press for the triceps and chest, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Again, the nice thing about having a shoulders and arms day is that you can really focus on these accessory pressing movements like overhead press and close grip bench press. After that, we have single arm preacher curls for the biceps, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And then we have dumbbell lateral raises for the side delts, 4 sets of 8 to 12. Finally, we finish off with single leg calf raises, 3 sets of 8 to 12. In my standard push-pull Arnold hybrid split, I'll usually put calves on day 1, But here I move them over just to even out our day lengths. And this is the nice thing about some of the small muscle groups, you can move them around pretty easily. Going on to day 3, we start off with the front squat for the quads, 4 sets using a top set back off method again. 1 top set of 6 to 10 followed by 3 back off sets. You'll see here that we're focusing on heavier lower rep training earlier in the week, and then we move to slightly higher rep work later in the week. Now if you want to get the most out of the limited amount of leg work we have here, you can add in some drop sets. So after the last set of your squats or front squats, as you're stripping the weights from the bar, you can fit in a couple of drop sets, or even do bodyweight squats immediately after. This way you can capitalize on a bit of the metabolic effect without adding much time to your workout. After that, we have weighted dips, and we're using this for our main chest movement of the day, 3 sets, and we can use a top set back off method again. 1 top set of 5 to 8 followed by 2 back off sets. Weighted dips are an awesome chest and triceps builder, and I actually count them for both muscle groups here. And here I wanted to illustrate how you can use the top set back off method for accessory movements as well. It doesn't just have to be for your big 3. After that, we have weighted chin-ups for the back, 4 sets of 6 to 10. And then we have the incline dumbbell bench press for the chest again, 2 sets of 6 to 10. After that, we have cable rows again for the back, 3 sets of 10 to 15. And we're using a different rep range than when we hit cable rows earlier in the week. After that, we have dumbbell pullovers for the back, 3 sets of 12 to 20. Pullovers are cool because they hit a little bit of your chest as well. And this makes them well suited for splits where your chest and back training come on the same day. Finally, we have barbell upright rows again for the side delts, 4 sets of 10 to 15. Let's move on to our last day, day 4. We start off with Romanian deadlifts for the glutes and hamstrings, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Next, we have the JM press, which is an awesome compound tricep movement, 3 sets of 6 to 10. These are like a cross between a close grip bench press and a skull crusher. Basically, you lower the weight to your chin before pressing back up. Then we have lying bicep curls, 3 sets of 6 to 10, and you could superset these 2 movements. Next, we have overhead cable extensions for the triceps, 3 sets of 10 to 15, and you can superset these with cable curls for the biceps, 3 sets of 10 to 15. One of the cool things about my hybrid split is that it's really well suited for antagonist supersets. When you have chest and back on the same day and shoulders and arms on the same day, you can really do supersets between your chest and back training or your bicep and tricep training. Antagonist supersets are a great way to save time without sacrificing performance in your workouts. Then we have cable lateral raises for the side delts, 4 sets of 10 to 15. And we finish off with single leg calf raises for the calves, 3 sets of 10 to 15. You'll see that day 4 is a little bit easier than day 2, and this is because I'm assuming that it's coming right after day 3. And we'll talk about the weekly setup next. Question of the day, which program do you guys want to see me cover next? Let me know in the comments below. Comments are the biggest factor in deciding what kind of videos I put out next. So if you want to have a say in the channel, make sure you voice your thoughts. Alright, now that you've seen the program, let's talk about how to set this program up across the week. Here's my preferred setup. You got day 1, rest, day 2, rest, day 3, day 4, and rest. You'll see in the program that my exercise selection is carefully chosen to fit well into this setup. Our heavy squat type movements are spread out on day 1 and day 3, and our heavier deadlift type movement is on day 2. And this way your biggest, heaviest movements are well spread out throughout the week. I actually especially like this split for an upper body focused program because you have more opportunities to hit your legs. Since you aren't doing very much volume for your legs in this program, you can really hit them hard on those days since you only have a few sets. Now, next point, you'll notice that you'll want to spread out your rest days as much as possible, and this is to maximize fatigue distribution. This is something I always recommend. Finally, you'll notice that with a 4-day split, you'll always have 2 days in the week that come back to back. And here people may worry about this split because you have leg training back to back, as well as some chest and shoulder training coming back to back. You'll notice that I chose the exercises on day 3 and day 4 to be overall easier than the ones on day 1 and day 2, and this is because you have less rest. Also, for our leg movements, you'll see that I've chosen exercises that conflict with each other less. A front squat is more quad dominant, and a Romanian deadlift is more hip hinge dominant. Finally, if you have a big overhead press that you want to prioritize, I'd put it on day 2 rather than day 4 so that you don't have that interaction with your bench pressing. Okay, now let's talk about the pros and cons of my hybrid 4-day split. First of all, specifically for this upper body focused program, This split does well because the higher frequency of leg training gives more opportunities to push hard. I know a lot of you do like to train hard, as in pushing close to failure. And usually with higher frequency programs, you can run into issues with this because if you get really sore from leg days, you won't want to have them too often. But in this program, since we're upper body focused and we're using low volumes for our legs, you just don't have that many sets spread out across the week because you can go hard on each of those days and really maximize the limited amount of time you're spending on legs. And we achieve this in this program by really pushing the last set hard on your leg movements, having an AMRAP, and you can try adding in drop sets as well. Next, with the Dr. Swole Hybrid Split, you get to train your arms and shoulders when they're fresh. This is a great feature of the Arnold type setup for the upper body. Often the arms and shoulders are fatigued after your pushing and pulling movements. And this happens in most of the popular science-based type programs like push-pull legs, upper lower, and full body. But in this kind of program, you can really give some priority to your arms and shoulders, which are often weak points for natural bodybuilders. Next, with this program, you get to give some priority to your accessory pressing. In a standard push-pull leg setup, for example, often your accessory presses like overhead press or close grip bench press will come after your main flat benching movements. If you can separate them out, as you do in this kind of program where you have dedicated arm and shoulder days, you'll be able to lift more on those movements and get more out of them. This can be helpful for strength, but also has an indirect benefit for hypertrophy, since these movements tend to be great tricep builders. Lastly, my hybrid split has great fatigue distribution. And this is because we spread out some of our upper body and lower body training on all days. You might notice that shoulders and arms is relatively easier than chest and back for the upper body. But this is balanced out because heavy hip hinges tend to be more fatiguing than squat type movements. All right, let's talk about cons of my hybrid 4-day split. The main thing here is that you have back-to-back legs later in the week. This con, however, is pretty easy to manage if you're careful with your exercise selection. As I mentioned earlier, if you put more quad focused movements on your day 3 and more glute and hamstring focused movements on day 4, you won't have much conflict between the two. All in all, I think the hybrid push-pull Arnold split is a great one to try, and it works really well with upper body focused training. I actually followed a program very similar to this back in my track and field days. Since we were training our legs so much with track workouts, I didn't need so much leg volume. Now, I will be sharing the full program as laid out in an Excel file in my Facebook group. So if you haven't already joined the group, find the link in the description below, join the group, and you can download the Excel file for free. If you want to run one of my programs and make modifications to it, you might want to check out my exercise substitution lists. To get this, first follow me on Instagram. My handle is @DrSwole, that's Dr_SWOLE, and then DM me exercise selection. And I'll send you a free chapter from my book that gives you all the exercises I recommend substituting. If you want to learn more about my hybrid 4-day split, check out this video where I go through a more balanced version of this program, which prioritizes upper and lower body. If you're getting value from this channel, make sure you subscribe and share it with your fitness friends so they can benefit from it too. See you next time.